The number one tool that helped me pay off $35,000 in student loan debt in just 2 years, 5 months on a $37,000 income was my budget. A written budget helped me figure out exactly what income was coming in, what expenses I had, and how I could tackle my debt very quickly. So in this video, we are going to do a walkthrough of the Debt-Free Millennials Budget Toolkit. This is a free spreadsheet that you can download and follow along with me so that you can get your finances in order to pay off debt really quickly and just hit your financial goals. So let's get into it. Okay, so using the link in the description box below, you can head over to debtfreemillennials.com/toolkit and you are going to be greeted on this page. This gives you a little bit more information about my story of paying off my student loan debt, and then also the form that you're going to fill out. Just enter your name, email, and then click yes, send me to the toolkit. Now you're gonna have to go over to your email, whatever email you typed in, and there's going to be a double opt-in just to make sure you are a real person and not a robot. Double opt-in to the toolkit. So you're going to get my newsletter in addition to the toolkit. So you're gonna click this button that says subscribe and take me to the toolkit. And when you click that open, you will automatically be taken to the Google Drive folder that houses the budget template. And then I also included a visual debt payoff thermometer that you can print out and color in depending on what debt goals you are trying to reach. Or, you could also use this as a savings thermometer too. But I like using this as visualizing the payoff and figuring out, okay, how much more do I need to color in to pay off my first student loan debt? So you can open up the budget template here. Let's get into this because a lot of people think that they can start editing this template, but you can't because this is the read-only file. This is the file that is available for everybody. So what you're going to have to do is click File and then make a copy. And that's why I have this highlighted in yellow here because people want to start editing the template. If you do that, you're going to be editing the template for everybody, like hundreds and hundreds of people, so not good. So to start editing this budget template, you are going to click on File, make a copy, then rename this to whatever, Justine's 2023 budget, and then you are going to select the folder or your drive in order to house it in. So we'll go through here, select, make a copy, and then the copy is what you're going to be able to edit. Alternatively, you could go back to this and click File, Download, and make this an Excel file. If you would prefer working in Microsoft Excel, it is available in that version too. Okay, so next, what you can do if you want to follow along, obviously you're watching this video, is to watch the tutorial video and then you're going to go through the steps. So let's go through this together. In step 1, you're going to see this yearly glance tab. This is going to show you what your budget looks like throughout the year. What does your annual spending look like? And then I've also included an area for your debt, and then an area for all of your budgeted items. I like looking at my budget in a yearly glance because it shows me exactly what percentage of my annual budget I'm spending money on. So I included just filler information. This is stuff that you can absolutely change. So if your monthly income is not $3,500 and let's say it's $5,000, then here's where you can change it, and this is where it's going to be updated. So if your mortgage is really $2,000, then you're going to see how that changes the annual percentage of your budget. So 40% of your annual income would, in this case, be going towards a $2,000 mortgage payment. So that's what you're going to see here. And I think this is just a really good idea just to see what the budget and what your spending looks like on an annual basis. Okay, but for the most part, you're actually going to be working month by month in this budget spreadsheet. So I included a second tab here that says January. So this is what it looks like on a monthly basis. This would be a January budget. If you're starting this in the middle of the year, obviously you just change the month. And the way that I have this broken down is into a couple of different sections, and there's some new updates this year that I wanted to address as well. So first, let's start with this box up here. This would be your debt. This is the debt that you owe, including the minimum monthly payment. What is the minimum? What are you actually paying towards that particular debt? What is the interest rate? And then what is your total outstanding debt balance? This is where you're going to list everything. To the right of that is going to be your income box. So I show the planned, what you plan on bringing in for that month and what you actually brought in that month. Sometimes there will be discrepancies because you'll get birthday money, or maybe you picked up a side hustle, maybe you just worked overtime and you were actually able to bring in a little bit more money, or maybe it's opposite of that. Maybe you are a commission-based worker and you had a lower month. So I always like to look at the average income that I have each month, and you can do that by looking at your bank statements and seeing what paychecks and what income has come in, and then taking an average of that. So you'll always want to start with your planned, estimate how much you think you'll bring in, and then record what you actually brought in at the end of the month. So go back through those bank statements and record any pay stub amounts, any cash or checks that you might have received. Below that, this is the pre-tax paycheck contributions. Now, we like showing this in our budget, even though it's not directly coming out of our checking account. This is something that we like to record from our pay stubs, specifically my husband's, because he's a W-2 income worker. We see exactly how much we're paying into things like disability insurance, dental, vision, health insurance, retirement. These are things that we like to keep track of so that we can see how much we are putting into each of these things per month, so that we can make changes when open enrollment comes for health insurance. I'll give you an example. We were paying $75 a month for dental insurance, and really we weren't taking advantage of that. We had our 2 checkups each year and that was it. And so I said, this seems really expensive if I'm only going in there for a teeth cleaning twice a year. So we dropped that down to a basic level, and that helped us save a ton of money. So this is where you can add in those from your paycheck, and then you can also look that up per month. You're gonna get this from your pay stub, and then add up your year-to-date contributions. You're gonna be blown away by how much you actually spend on these insurances before you actually get your paycheck. So that's the pre-tax paycheck contributions box. The next area, this is the meat and potatoes right here. So the way that I like to break up my budget is you have 4 different categories. You're going to have your fixed, fun, fudge, and future. I like to break up my budget spending into these 4 subcategories, because then I can quickly see what are the things that I know I absolutely am spending money on every single month. What does the discretionary spending look like? Did I allow for any buffer, which is that fudge section? Fudge is not for chocolate. This is like your oh fudge moment. This is the miscellaneous spending, or just a little bit of a cushion to your budget in case you go over something or you forgot about something. Like a lot of times my miscellaneous will be like for parking. Oh, I needed to pay for parking at the toll here, and I didn't even think about that. That's going under miscellaneous. So I do allow for some cushion there, and I allow about $20. You could fluctuate that depending on your budget needs. And then future, what am I saving for? That could include things like an emergency fund if you don't have one built up yet, a vacation fund, maybe a car replacement fund, any outside investing. All of that lives under future. So what you're going to do is, I've actually included this already as a separate tab. This is a blank monthly template that you can use to get started. So I did not fill out any of the cells because your situation is going to look different than what I actually put in this January tab. So you're going to start with the blank monthly template and start adding in all of your debts, fill out the debt box, and then fill out the planned and the actual. So you can actually start at the end of the month. You can take a look back at the previous month and then fill out everything that you've seen thus far. Now, in the budget template guide, I talk about in step 2, logging into your bank or credit card statements and do an audit of the last 3 months of spending if you get stuck and you don't know exactly how much you spend in a particular category. So for example, if we hop back over to the blank template, I have groceries and toiletries. You're going to plan your spending for this so that you have an accurate amount of how much you're going to spend. You're not overspending in this category, so that you can concentrate your money on areas that you love and areas that are a priority. If you don't know how much you spend on groceries each month, that's where that spending audit is going to come into play. You are going to list out all of your grocery spending by looking at your credit card statements and bank statements for the last 3 months. Then you're going to take an average of that. If you find out that you've been spending an average of $600 on groceries, but you really wanted to plan for $300, that's a big difference. That's a $300 difference that you're going to have to figure out how to make up. So maybe a $300 grocery budget isn't realistic for you. Maybe you got to bump that up. Maybe you don't want to spend $600, but maybe we need to lower it to $500. Now that feels more realistic and more obtainable for you to lower that cost, because now we're only talking about a $100 difference. All right, let's talk about some of these other categories that are inside of the budget. So under fixed, you can include your rent or your mortgage payment. You know that's always going to be paid, always the same amount every single month. Then you're going to include things like your cell phone bill, internet. Groceries I did include as a fixed line item because you are always going to be spending money on groceries. Maybe the amount is going to fluctuate, but I included it as a fixed because that's absolutely, we're going to have food on the table. Also, I included gas. And then this year I decided to lump in the cost of oil changes, vehicle registration, which would be tags, repairs, tire replacement. I used to have those categorized separately, but now I've lumped them all together into car maintenance. I find that this should be something that is fixed because you're absolutely going to pay for your car's registration every single year. Look that up right now. See how much you paid for last year, and then let's start saving for that monthly. If we know that the car registration is $150 for the year, let's divide that out by 12 months and start setting aside that money every single month into a separate savings account. And you can actually do that by including this as a running total. So let's say that your car registration is $120. So we are going to plan $10 of our money towards that car maintenance. And then for the next month, you'll have $10 set aside plus $10 that you're setting aside again for the second month. So in the running total, you can hit equals $10 times the second month, and so on and so forth. And so you'll end up having, $20 in the running total here. Now, as I'm adding in things, let's say I have a mortgage payment of $1,200. As I'm adding in things, you're going to see that updated over here on the planned column. So anytime that I'm adding something in my planned expenses, if I did $350 for groceries, you're going to see it updated here. These are my planned expenses. So when I go to actually spend that money, I'm going to record it in the actual column. And you're probably going to go to the grocery store multiple times within the month. So what I like to do at the end of each month is I go through my credit card statement, and then I see, oh, I went to Kroger's and I spent $65. Got it. I'm going to hit the equal button. 65 is how much I spent, plus where's my next grocery transaction on my credit card statement? Oh, I went to Costco. I spent $125 at Costco. Okay, now I've added that to my actual column. I've budgeted $350. I've actually spent $190, 2 transactions. And sometimes what I like to do here too is I will right-click that cell and I will insert a note that says I went to Kroger and I went to Costco, so I know exactly where those transactions came from. And then you're going to see that automatically updated in that expense column under the actual column. So the expense row and the actual column. I actually spent $190 here. So you're going to keep filling this out so that you have a plan in place for your money. So that's a look at the fixed. If we go down to fun, then you're going to include any fun discretionary spending, things like restaurants, shopping, clothing, haircut, gifts, fun money, subscriptions. There could be stuff in here that you pay that I don't have listed out here. Maybe a gym membership. Maybe you like to do pottery classes, and that needs to be included under fun. Any kind of discretionary spending needs to be recorded here. And then we talked about the future. So if I go over to January, I'm going to use this because this is all filled out. You'll see. If I planned $3,000, but I actually made an extra $100 on top of that for the month, you're going to see that here. Now, income minus your expenses should be as close to zero as possible by the end of the month. That way you know every dollar that came into my life this month has a place. I've assigned it a task, a job, and it's just not floating around for me to spend accidentally on stupid stuff that's not helping me achieve my financial goals. So this is why having that zero-based budget is really going to help you. So if we've included all of our planned expenses here under fixed, fun, even if I'm not particularly spending money on that expense this month, I'm setting it aside. Things like car insurance. So I've left a note here. If you pay your car insurance premium every 6 months, that's going to give you the deepest discount, but you're going to set aside that money every month as if you were spending that money, but you're going to set aside in a savings account. Just transfer it over to a savings account. You're not going to see it until that car insurance premium is due. You're going to withdraw it back over to your checking account and pay for that car insurance premium. It is the easiest way to set aside money for things like that. It's basically a sinking fund. If you haven't watched my video on sinking funds, we will link to this up here in the cards for you to check out. So another addition that I made to the budget template this year is I've included a notes section. I actually got this idea from one of my budget bootcamp clients where we work one-on-one in a private coaching setting, and it's a monthly budget coaching program, which if you're interested in, that's always linked below. So I included this note section for you to write in at the start of the month. What are your goals? What are some things you want to work on? And then at the end of the month, go back into your budget template and say, okay, what actually happened? What am I proud of? What were the challenges here? And then what am I going to do for next month? What are some realistic goals I could have for next month's budget? And then you kind of have a running total of, okay, start of the month. I know this month is December, I'm going to be doing more holiday spending. So I need to increase the gift budget. So those are some things that you can take a look at, and keep in mind your budget is fluid. You can change the amount in these categories anytime you want to. It can be as temporary or as permanent as you want to, so long as you continue to exercise that budget muscle and that you're doing it every single month. And keep in mind, it's not going to be perfect the first go around. There are going to be things that you'll miss, but the important thing is that you continue to come back to this over and over again. And as you are updating it, you are literally just going through your transactions. This budget spreadsheet is part manual, part automatic, because the automatic part is it's going to update it for you on how much you actually spent and whether or not you are over or under budget. The manual part of this is actually manually inputting those transactions and scanning through your credit card and bank account statements. So this is a blend of manual and automatic. And I find that when I have a blend of these tools together, it actually helps me feel more in control, because I'm feeling each of those transactions as I'm manually hitting all of those Amazon purchases I made last month. Like, holy cow, I actually went to Amazon a lot, versus looking through an app that automatically does that for you. You're just looking at the end result. And I just find that you're not feeling those transactions. You're not really connecting with your money and your spending habits. This gets you that connection. Okay, something else I wanted to address as I was looking through last year's tutorial video, somebody had written down, I love your video, but how do you track your actual spending on food and shopping when you're out and about so you stay on budget? This is a really good question. So the beauty of this spreadsheet, especially if you have it in Google Sheets, download the Google Sheets app. You will have this budget spreadsheet on your phone. When you are out and about and you are shopping and eating out, you are looking up, the menu items, you're shopping, you're looking at prices, you're paying for those items. As soon as that item is paid for, you're going into your actual column and you're writing down, I spent $36.57, at the local burger place. And that way you know exactly how much, if you had a $150 budget and you spent $36.57 so far, you know how much you have left inside of that restaurant budget. So that's something that you can do and take with you on the go. So when you are ready to fill out your own budget, just start filling out the blank monthly template, add in your budgeted categories and your expenses, and then start another month. Okay, that's a look inside the budget toolkit and how to operate it. I hope you find this tool extremely valuable and helpful as you go through your debt-free journey or just hitting your financial goals, whether that is maybe saving for a new baby or building up a down payment or really just trying to tackle that credit card debt and figure out what am I spending money on. This tool is going to address those problems and come up with a solution that is going to help you feel confident and control with your money. Happy budgeting, guys. If you like this one, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to grab this free budget toolkit download for you in the description box below, and I'll catch you in the next video.